What's up everybody, it's Matt from Peter Glenn. In this video, we're gonna talk to you a little bit about board to binding size. Let's check this out. All right, a new spec that has showed up over the past few years with a few of the snowboard companies is the suggested binding size to board size. And you're looking at your spec sheet and you're seeing the length, the effective edge, the nose width, the waist width, and when you get down to the bottom, you're seeing a suggested binding size. Now, personally, I think this is a borderline useless spec and something that just ends up confusing a lot of the customers more than anything. When you're picking out the right size snowboard for yourself, you're basing that off of a combination of your height, your weight, the specific board you're buying, even your style of riding. And when you're buying a binding, you base that decision solely on the size range of that specific binding that matches up with the size of your boots. But we'll leave some links in the descriptions down below to a couple videos about those two things if you're not sure exactly how to size your bindings or how to size your board. But when it comes to the spec of the what size binding is suggested to fit with your board, that's something you can pretty much just ignore. Now, I'm using Capita and their sister company Union as an example for this video, but Capita is not one of the companies that actually has that spec. I mainly just like to use Union because Union does not have any overlap in their binding sizing. A medium in the men's binding goes up to a 10, and then the large starts at 10.5. Some binding companies might have some overlap from, let's say, a medium to a large, where you could be a size 10, and that could fit a large, but also could fit a medium. But that being said, let's say that you are that size 10 boot. Now, let's say you're taller. Let's say you're around 6'3" and maybe around 220, 230 pounds. Well, you're gonna need a board that's gonna be up in those 160s. Now, most of those boards, if you look at a lot of the spec sheets, they're gonna suggest you're gonna need a large binding. Your size 10 boot is not gonna fit properly in the large binding. You're gonna wanna go with the size medium binding. Also, on the other side of things, let's say you're a little bit shorter and a little bit smaller, but you have a bigger foot. And if you look at a spec sheet and it says, oh, you fit into a 155 snowboard, but you've got a size 12 foot, there's no way you're gonna fit properly into a medium binding. You're gonna need the large. Now, obviously, if it is one of those companies that does have a little bit of overlap and your boot is in that overlap, you do have a choice. You could go with the large binding or you can go with the medium binding. Me personally, I always go with a smaller binding if I'm in that overlap, just because I like a little bit snugger, tighter fit. But really, when it comes down to it, when you are buying a board, find a board that fits you properly for your dimensions, your height, your weight, your riding style, all of that. And then when you go to find your binding, find a binding that just matches up with the size of your boot. Don't pay attention to any of those specs in the charts because, again, they are borderline useless. But if you got any questions beyond what we talked about in the video, definitely leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer your questions. We want to make sure we can get you into some rad gear, but most importantly, we want to make sure that it's going to fit you properly too. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and definitely get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And head on over to peterglenn.com, find the right size board, find the right size bindings, and get out and ride. Because any day riding is a good day riding.